And welcome to Meet the Polymaker, everybody. I am your host, Joel, and we're ready to start the party. I hope you guys are too. We're here to do what we always do, and that's show some 3D prints from our community in Discord. Also, talk about some 3D printing news. Couple things going on right now in the 3D printing world, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. And then we talk to another maker, a maker that's not been on the show before. Episode number 84, therefore guest number 84, not including the short stint of 3D Printopia last year where we did a on the road version with Dummy 13 Scientist that was voiced by Nick in the first row. So technically 85, but anyway, we are here nonetheless to have another show, and it is live. So go ahead and type in "I am awesome" in chat to be entered for your chance to get some filament at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to get right into the hot end headlines. First up, we have a company known as Polymaker, known for making 3D printed filament, having a huge sale. Restock Day, one of the largest sales of the year, with 35% off any order, automatically applied at checkout. You don't even have to put a coupon code. We did all the work for you. All you got to do is pick out what filament, maybe some poly dryer boxes, some poly dryers, maybe just the dock, whatever you might want. Throw that in the cart, go to checkout, 35% off. You only got 1 day left, so I would be actually probably less than a day, really. But I get those orders in now. If you're thinking about getting something, right now's the time. Get it before it goes out of stock, because who knows when our next sale will be. So definitely, like I said, you don't have to have any code. Just go to the website, US and Canada only. We are working to have global events soon. TM, just stay with us. Next up, we have Bamboo Lab in the news again with another product. They're spitting them out now. We know we're waiting for the H2C after the H2S release, and that's going to be a cool one. Waiting to hear some input for that. But this one is the P1S refresh, is what they're stating it is, known as the P2S. That's going to be very hard to not confuse with PS2. So just switch them around, be a little dyslexic, and you get the P2S. We don't know what it is. Now, I mean, it's a refresh from the P1S. I'll imagine it's going to be the same size. I doubt it's going to be the larger. That's, I think, maintained for the H series. But what are we going to get? Is it? I mean, what can you add to it? The speed is already there. The quality is already there. But I don't know. I guess we're going to find out at 3 p.m. CEST, Central Eastern Standard. I don't know what that is exactly. I probably should have looked up prior, but whatever, CEST 3 p.m. Check it on Google when it is for you. October 14th. So coming up just next week. So be interested to see what they come out with and what the price point is going to be. Next up, we have Ford in the 3D printing news, and they're using 3D printing to help break records at the Nuremberg. Nuremberg? I don't know. Nürburgring. There you go. I was just Nuremberg. But anyway, before we take 20 minutes for that, they are utilizing 3D printing on the field. Why is the mic so obvious? Sorry about that. But to modify things on the fly, mostly aerodynamics. One thing that was a very slight change that they said actually helped them break the 7-second mark is little covers over some ventilation on the hood. Basically little caps. They were able to 3D print, install on the track, and get their time improved, because when you're breaking records like that, tenths of a second matter. This is a very high powered car, a lot of downward thrust. Aerodynamics does matter a lot, especially at 150 plus miles per hour. So 3D printing has helped solve that in a quick way on the track. Again, just breaking records. Next up, we have a new printer. This is going to be from 3D Systems. I had it up here. The MJP 300W Plus. You and I probably will not buy this printer. I don't know the price point on it, but it is a wax printer. It is geared more towards jewelers for wax casting, to do jewelry, to do custom jewelry. A couple things that this touted was it is not relying on the cloud. It is all local. That's important for designs of jewelry. Obviously, when you have custom jewelry, you don't want those designs being shared with others through the cloud, through TOS things that kind of have loopholes or may not have loopholes. This stays local, so your designs are safe. They meet some standards that are going to be coming out in the next year or two, required by the US and Europe for security of your IP. So definitely cool. Again, will we see this in people's homes? Maybe a little version, someday. But definitely cool. If you don't have a wax printer, though, you could use Polycast and still cast some jewelry. And if you do that, I'd love to see it shared in Discord. And last up, we have a spider bot that's building structures. This is going to go along with the massive 3D printing homes that we're seeing all over the place, mostly Texas, but everywhere. And this is now a spider bot that is named Charlotte, fitting enough, is a semi-autonomous spider-like machine that can 3D print walls by straddling and moving along the structure. So basically kind of spitting it down and walking over it. Now this is being, of course, tested on Earth, but this is something that they're looking to be able to use different materials in space, such as a lunar setup, to be able to get a lunar base built and just send some of these spider robots up there with the materials and let them go to town. So will we see a home on the moon or a base on the moon? I mean, eventually we will. How soon? Maybe sooner than later with these spider bots. So that is it for the news today. And we're going to head over to Spool Spotlight. And as always, these are always prints that are printed and sometimes designed by members of our community that are shared on Show Off Prints channel at our Discord at discord.polymaker.com. And first up is Prime Tower Designs, who was actually at 3D Printopia recently. Had a lot of cool things on their booth. This is a really cool kind of a hidden message zoetropic cipher that is designed by Prime Towers. And as you see in the GIF here, 3D printing is, well, I think it said, wait for it. There you go. It's magic. So it's got little dots in it, and just with the spin, with the speed, it gives that the zoetropes, if you've ever seen it before, almost like a flip book in a carousel. It gives you the idea. But awesome design, cool print. It is available on Maker World if you'd like to print it yourself. Next up, we have one that is not available for download currently, but this is a personal project by Rev Hazlitt. It is a local monument to where he lives. It is designed by him. It was printed for an award, a scouting award. And once they seen it, they actually asked him to print it for another award in a bigger manner. So this is the larger version. Definitely a cool little design and a cool little story to go with it. Kind of giving back to the community. Maybe it's going to be on display at the city hall, wherever Rev Hazlitt lives. We'll see. Next up, we have Bailey, who has printed the D20 Christmas lights that are designed by Fate's End, available on My Mini Factory. And it's exactly what you see here. It's exactly what is in the title. There's a bunch of D20 basic casings that go onto a Christmas light set. So once you have the Christmas lights, these are just kind of snap-ons to cover to be your own design of Christmas lights, or your nerd cave, your D&D dungeon, whatever it may be. You can print these also, and these are available on also My Mini Factory. Next up, we have Prince with Chris. We haven't seen him in a little bit here. He's doing the Vampire Mario, and of course it is designed by PLA NPA. And gorgeous colors. I mean, he picked the colors just right for this design. Looks great as always. This model is available on PLA NPA's Patreon. So go check them out. They got a lot of different character prints if you're into that. Last but not least, we have Barking Cauldron, also known as Sharon P13, has printed the Pumpkin Cup. This is by Billy Hopper, which is available on billyhopper3d.com. Don't have an icon for that, but the colors are cool, and I wouldn't ever think myself to use like the beige with the orange, but it actually really goes well together. I think the placement in the picture helps too, but cool colors, cool print. I don't know if Sharon P13 uses it daily as her drinking cup. If not, it still makes for a cool design. So thank you all for sharing all your prints as you do every week. I'm seeing more and more. You guys are doing a lot better sharing the link to where to find the file, whether it's a paywall or not. Wherever you got the file, let us know, because if we see something cool, we might want to print it too. So share all that you want, whether again the good, the bad, the ugly, even the failures. We have showcased those too, especially when they're kind of presented in funny manners. But there's no really requirements. Share away, what you like to share, and it might be shown on the show in the future. So thank you all for that. We're going to take a commercial break, and after that commercial break, we are going to talk to our next maker. So stay tuned.
Whoa, I'd love to get into 3D printing, but I live here on the sun where the UV rays are nuts. Wait just one moment there, strapping young chap. Have you ever heard of Polymaker ASA? Polymaker ASA is UV resistant, so it is the perfect application for printing near or around the sun. No way, bro. Yes way, brosif. Here, try it out. Radical, man. If you need a weather-resistant material, make sure you check out Polymaker's ASA. Printing on the sun is no problem at all with Polymaker ASA.
Imagine owning some of the best songs about 3D printing this Discord has to offer. Polymaker presents 3D Printing Hits by Silverback and Little D, the best renditions of some of the greatest hits of all time. Hits like Hallelujah, Polly Smooth Criminal, All That She Wants Is Another Printer, Print Away,
There you go, print away.
Still the TD1, All About That Bag, No Stabbies, and Polyman.
It's a file tonight. We're all in the mood to see it extrude, 'cause you've got your printer tuned right.
Reserve your CD today with a special TV offer by going to polymaker.com and paying $39.99. Have your credit card ready. Seriously though, this music was a joke. Go buy some Polymaker.
And welcome back to the show, everybody. The commercials, I know I keep forgetting to change them up, but I'm down for some new ones. If you got some good ideas for a commercial that you want to film on your own, the rules are in the commercial channel on our Discord, discord.polymaker.com. And if your commercial is used, you get $100 and Polymaker filament. So it doesn't have to be, high production, something fun, a spoof commercial, whatever your heart desires. Present it to me. I'll let you know if it works. And if it doesn't, I'll let you know why it doesn't work. And then you can go back to the drawing board and fix it up or create something new. But anyway, that's enough for the commercials. We're now here to do what we do. The whole purpose of the show is to meet new makers or makers that have been in it, a new maker for the show. So anyway, today is no exception. This gentleman you may know by different names. You might know him as the Free Heathen, Maker Millwright of Free Heathen, etc. So please just welcome in the Free Heathen. How's it going, man?
Good morning. Or good evening. Hello,
Yes.
sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. You look very bright today.
We try to be dapper when we're invited to important things,
There you go. Yep. Gotta get the clean look going. So, well, welcome in real quick. For those that might not know the Free Heathen, might not know Maker Millwright, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Maker Millwright of the Free Heathen Workshop. One second, sorry. I'm Maker Millwright of the Free Heathen Workshop. I make things with Tinkercad, CNC, and 3D printing. I do a little bit of everything, sewing, knitting, or not knitting yet, but sewing, general design, all of those things. And I specialize using Tinkercad.
Awesome. Now you said not knitting yet. Is that another skill you're trying to add to the list?
Yes, sir. So sorry. I have an alarm going. Just 2 seconds. I was late
No,
for the
you're
show.
good. You're fine.
Yeah. So one of the things is you always want to expand your skill sets. I have a little bit of trouble with my hands. So one of the things that tightens up your hands is is, you know, knitting. They
Knitting.
recommend it for rehab for people with hand injuries.
Basically, it helps with like endurance and just dexterity overall.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like a specialized skill. So, and the counting, row counting, right? So knitting or crocheting with row counting. It's definitely one of the more
I
specialized.
don't think I have the patience for it. Is the problem.
All new skills are slow to start.
There you go. Yep. Yeah. You know, eventually you're just going to be, in the movies. You know, they're just popping out scarves and blankets and everything else in no time. So,
You never know, right? You never know.
yeah. So now with the 3D printing side of things, of course you do that. How
Yes.
long have you been doing that, and what kind of got you started into 3D printing?
I've been 3D printing, should be coming up on 7 years. And what got me started in is I'm a big cosplay fan. I
Okay.
like
Yep.
cosplay props and things like that. And there's a company that didn't release any of their materials as such a thing. So a bunch of independent designers came up and designed and made them. So that kind of got me down the road. But I've always loved doing cosplay. And since I don't enter competitions, the use of 3D printing in cosplay really is beneficial if you enjoy it.
Now, when you started with cosplay, did you start with the foam, the cardboard, and all that, or did you go right into it with 3D printing?
I started with textiles, so like
Um,
soft goods and sewing, and then slowly progressed into foam craft, and then by that time 3D printing had become more available with the Ender 3 V1, and that sort of like led me down the loop of actually getting Ender 3 V1.
there you go. Yeah, so you kind of went through the steps of all the different ways of doing cosplay. Now, is that something you still do today, or kind of dabble in here and there? I know there's a wide scope of what you model.
So yes, I do. We just did a show last February. Bexy Beans and myself were at Fan Expo Vancouver. We did Tim and Sherry. She did her Wanda from Marvel, Scarlet Witch, and I did Red Hood.
Red Hood. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, I remember seeing the pictures for that. It ended up going really well. So now
Thank you.
with that, then pretty much like that even outfit is you kind of mix all those skills then you've learned between the sewing, the 3D printing, etc.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you when you do all the work yourself, you can really feel empowered by it. And always learning a new skill is super important, right? So even if you're not very good at sewing, making your own cosplay, by the time you're done building your own cosplay, you'll be quite good at it.
So now, how's it feel like? And I'm sure you've done more than just the Red Hood, obviously. But like when you get that finished product, you get everything all suited on. You take that first picture. Is that kind of the aha moment every time? Like, this is why I wasted this. And I don't want to say wasted. This is why I spent so much time on this project.
It's really empowering, right? Like it gives you an opportunity to pretend to be someone else. Plus, you never know like how many smiles and things. When we were on the floor, you'd often hear people shouting, "Oh, Red Hood! Oh, Red Hood!" So you know, oh, can I get a photo? Can I get this? And we, you know, and it sort of introduces you to that. And then people ask you about how it came about, whatever. And you kind of explain to them the benefit of it all and stuff. And that's where the technology blends with the classic, you know, because they're a mix of foam craft, a mix of textiles, and a mix of 3D printing. Definitely.
And then, of course,
Definitely.
LED lighting, electronics, and everything else you can do with it.
Helmet eyes. Like LEDs are cool, but helmet eyes are always a struggle for everyone, so they always ask.
There you go. So, and that's what like, you brought up too is like people yelling, "Oh, Red Hood is." It's cool to see that at different. I've never been to an actual cosplay convention, but at the rep wraps sometimes there are cosplay there. But you really become that character, even if in your mindset you're not. To everybody outside, whether it be a kid or an adult, that they see you dressed up like that, they think that is Red Hood. I mean, at least they feel that it is Red Hood.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm about the same size. Actually, the best story I have about cosplaying is I do a Warhammer 40k Inquisitor, and Warhammer 40ks are pretty fanatic. Warhammer 40k players and lore lovers are pretty fanatic, and you could hear the whispers, and
Yeah.
hearing that little whisper as you walk by, oh, it's an Inquisitor is just so, you know what I mean, as opposed to the Red Hood, which is it's a DC character, so it's much more common, easy,
Yeah.
acceptable. But when you're able to do foam craft mixed with 3D printing, and then you get a nice big chunk of armor, and it's oversized and whatever, and then you hear the little whispers as you walk by, it's pretty funny.
And I think especially with Warhammer is just the size of them is just always impressive. I was at Adepticon earlier this year. And it was same, there's several cosplays like impressive. Like, and I've been in 3D printing and I've seen some really cool stuff, but it's still like seeing somebody walk around in a suit, whether it's 3D printed foam, a mix of everything. It's just it's like, that's pretty awesome. And I'm not like heavily into Warhammer, and I still thought it was amazing. So it's like, hey, come over here, I want a picture real quick. So I'm one of those outside people.
But that's what you want, right? It inspires people to get more interested in other things, right? So,
Yep.
you know, even if you're not a 40K person, you might say, oh, well, I really like that. What's that all about? And go look at it, right? Same with DC Comics or Marvel, anything in between, right?
Oh yeah. So now, of
Yeah.
course, you did the cosplay. Then what got you into, which I suppose it's probably because you're already into playing it. What got you into like modeling the minis?
Modeling the minis is sort of like a weird thing. Um, there's a lot of like copyright protected materials and things like that. So for me, when I saw that and I saw the benefit of 3D printing and sort of the power it has, particularly Shadow Polymaker Polymax PLA, big fan. um, you know, when you can make miniatures and have your own game or substitute miniatures in for a game that you can't necessarily afford, that really kind of made me happy, and it opened that door um, for people, because I know people have budget constraints and things like that. So it's like it's always cool to make something new and add. And like for example, in my world, I create my own, right? I'm part of 2 games right now, and giving an alternate option to the more expensive sort of well-known brands is definitely cool, if you ask me.
So now, like with the tabletops and like the mini games, or the mini figs, is a lot of those have a book, a story, a lore, and then a playbook. So I didn't really know too much about that until I found out that you actually had what this was 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
Yes, sir.
on 3D Printopia. And so, but you already have, I think is it 2 now, or do you said right now? I know you have 1 book. That's the whole. Is that like the playbook and storybook? Nick always had it, so I never got a chance to really go through it. It disappeared with him every time.
So the first game I was part of development for is called Beacon of Doom. That's
Yep.
the one that you've seen the original models for. That has 10 books now. I myself am working on a new one called the Darkstar Chronicles, and it all revolves around sort of, because with traditional pen and paper games, you just need pen and paper, but peripherals have become such a big part of the community nowadays
Yep.
that I just go hog wild, and just make models and models and models, and I'm working my way through we're in alpha release for Darkstar Chronicles right now.
So now on those books, is what do you write with it? What is the purpose of the book for the games, for those that have never played before?
Oh, so for Beacon of Doom, I worked with an author, Seth Gooley, and we sort of had conversations about what we want, what we don't want, and sort of the progression of it. And then he wrote out like a main book plus supplementary books, including campaigns or adventures, and so on. And that's sort of the traditional pattern of pen and paper or war game expansion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a playbook per se.
No, it's exactly right. So like you have your main book, so you can just make characters and have your adventure. But say you're not super creative or you don't know where to go, that's where the supplementary
You have a
books come in,
structure.
campaigns.
Ah,
Yeah, exactly. Ease
yeah.
that load if you're not new to it.
Yeah, so that's the one thing, like I said, especially for those that have never played tabletop games, is I've learned, like I said, starting with that, and then of course going to AdeptCon earlier this year, is I've learned a lot with it, and just how complex it can really get. Like watching those guys play on large tables. Hats off. I mean, it's one thing to create the model, but then to create the story behind it and the structure and everything. So I don't think a lot of people realize that what goes into it. And then with you, of course, the modeling is a whole other thing. That's another skill. But there's one thing that's always special on how you do the modeling, and what software do you use and still use to this day?
I use Tinkercad.
Yep.
It's a free, I guess, an educational device provided by Autodesk. But for me, because 3D printing can open so many doors for you, I started designing out fixtures and things to repair my home and add to my home. And then as I got progressively better, I started using Tinkercad to make miniatures under 28mm scale.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is detail at number one, that size. Then it's not just the figures, it's the terrain, it's the vehicle. So do you know to date like how many models you've created that have been out there or shared?
Somewhere
few.
around 3,000, I think, or
So
so,
just
give or
one or
take.
two or more.
I make a couple things here and there. You know, I do stuff. I release typically. I'm on a slower scale right now, but typically I would release anywhere from 3 to 7 models a week.
Okay, yeah. So they're just pumping them out.
And that's not necessarily just like role playing miniatures or anything like that. It's just a little bit of everything. I've designed tools. I've designed 3D print parts for replacements on your printers. I've designed props and a little bit of everything in between.
And I remember the prop. One of the first props. I think I actually got them two at the same time. This is again around the 3D Printopia time. Is there's a special prop that you made. This may be based off of something related to Polymaker. Again, I used to have it. It was here until I finally got it off to Nick. But yeah, he is in possession now. But what was that?
So can I preface? Do you just want to know, or can I preface it?
You can preface it. Yeah, no, you're fine.
So I've been with Polymaker for some time now, and I've got a deep love for Polymaker. But the conversation that kept happening was, well, who's the real Polymaker scientist? And I don't remember. I think you guys had on your Discord a whole bit of who's the Polymaker scientist. I finally said nope. That's enough. So
There's
what I
myth
did
and
was,
lore.
that's right. So what I did was I went and grabbed the Polymaker Scientist miniature and I cut the goggles away from it and made a set of lenses and mask for the true Polymaker Scientist. So really, the only person who can be the Polymaker Scientist is someone with those goggles. They're they're pulled right from the model.
Yep, and they're fully wearable. Had the elastic band and everything. So if we're going with that lore, then that means Nick is the Polymaker Scientist, whether in secret or not. He is the one that now holds the power of the goggles.
Well, and the coolest part about that one is it's mixed medium. So it's a PLA housing with a poly smooth lens that just needs a little bit of polishing and it'll be clear.
There you go. Yep. So using it early on, because poly smooth has been around a bit, but never got. I don't think, at least with me printing it, never really was much traction. It seemed, and it's kind of had its waves. You know.
There's a polysmooth light bulb, right?
Yep. So yeah, and then for those that don't know, polysmooth you can smooth out with acetone, or not acetone, sorry, isopropyl alcohol. You don't need acetone. Acetone.
It's really easy to use.
Yeah.
It's a really simple product, especially with the fogger kits, right? Like that's like I like the spray on effect, but the fogger kits are probably the coolest thing about it. Yeah. And then
especially it's more uniform smoothing.
And it seems to have a better transparency with after polishing it and then gassing it than say something like transparent PEG.
Oh yeah. Yep, absolutely. So now then, of course, we have the poly smooth material, but you're a fan of something other than poly smooth, which is what?
So do you want the preference of that, or you just want to know?
You can lead up to it, yeah.
So as I was designing and making, and I got involved with Polymaker, and I was working through things, you guys reached out to me and you said, hey, we have this other product that you might want to try. And I said, oh, I don't know. And they said, you guys are like, no, I think you need to try this. And they said, oh, well, we have this strong engineering product. We think you might like it. Because one of the things that came about with making miniatures was I worry about shatter. So I worry about someone, if you paint it really nice and it gets dropped, it shatters, then, that's heartbreak galore, right? Absolutely. So I was reached out to and said, hey, try Polymax PLA. And since then, I just can't go back to any other product for miniatures. It's the fact that Polymax PLA will produce a stress line as opposed to a stress fracture, which means that you can repose your miniatures, you can cut them, you can pose them, but even if the supports got sticky and you bend it, it doesn't break off. It actually produces much like injection molding. It'll produce a white line that's known as like a stress stretch.
Yep, yeah, and that's especially with miniatures. Of course, number one, they're small, so very small parts. But a lot of those miniatures, the ones you design, other ones that are out there, it might have a sword, a staff, a gun that is just minute. And yeah, PLA, you look at it wrong and that small of a print, it's probably going to snap off. You bump it off the table, you might as well consider it going, especially like you said, if you take the time to paint it, then that's even more time into it. It's like, oh no, please don't break if it falls. But they all turn out good.
That's your scale and that's my thumb, right? So that shows you And
how
that's not
tiny.
even as small as it can get.
And that's what's crazy too. So of course, you've been printing long enough. Have you seen the different printers? Have you been impressed, or how much have you been impressed with FDM becoming more and more quality at fine prints like that? Of course, resin, still beats it, but FDM is getting up there. Considering where it was about 3 years ago.
I have my opinions on resin. Like a lot of the resins aren't shock resistant,
Oh
so
yeah,
you
shatter.
might, yeah. And again, you're down that road of, okay, you've spent 10, 15 hours painting a squad of 5 guys, and now they shatter, and what are you going to do? With the modern systems that have come out for FFF printing or FDM printing, with the fact that like I design everything to be printed with a number 4 nozzle and a resolution of 1.2, but you can go to a smaller nozzle and increase your resolutions. And I think the Bambu's resolution is down to 0.04 with a number 2 nozzle.
I believe so.
So yeah, so model creep is always a major concern, which is like the how fancy the model is. But
Yeah.
in general, yeah, I'm deeply impressed with sort of the consistency of product that's come out, and then the resolution of product that's come out. So it's definitely. And then when you start using things like support materials, like solvable, dissolvable materials, and breakaway materials, it goes down that road of even more quality, right? Because
Yep.
you're not removing anything. You break it away or you dissolve it in water.
So now, one thing I did notice at Adepticon with people that have a lot of figures, they have like I don't know if they're toolboxes, bait boxes, what they get them from, but they store their miniatures. Have you ever thought about designing like a carry? Because of course, even with Polymax PLA, it can break, takes a lot more. But have you ever thought about doing like a transport case for those that do have like large armies to carry from a friend's house to a convention or wherever?
I think I have 3 released currently.
Oh, so yeah, already on top of it. Now, have you
I
thought about the one thing I've seen
I'm
they
not
do
a big
carts?
box guy though. I
Just not
don't
too
I
much complexity to
yeah
it.
I well because it's 3D printing versus injection or blow molding, so it's one of those debates that you can always have. The one thing that always comes up is at least it's yours, right? It's custom, one of a kind. There's a couple of really excellent designers out there that do boxes,
Yep.
and I could probably put the time in, but yes, they're definitely, whether you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, Starfinder, Warhammer 40,000, moving your stuff around and even moving your terrain pieces with you, right? Those boxes are super important. And I would say that, Polymax, it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't have that shatter quality to it. So, you're not so concerned, and you could do TPU inserts, right? TPU 95
There you go.
inserts.
Now what you just need to do, one thing I've seen pretty much, I would say 95% of the people that had those crates and boxes, is they always had some type of little like dolly system. So,
Yes.
just need to make a 3D printed, wheels with TPU and a retractable dolly system. There you go. You might be able to see your model all over the place at Adepticon.
That'd be pretty cool. The guys from Adepticon are super nice, like super nice. I've talked to them
Yeah.
myself, and very open, very interested, and they do like the 3D printed and the resin. Sorry, FFF or FDM and resin, and there's
Yep.
a bunch of, recently there's been some companies that are releasing like metal releases of things, so it's
Now,
pretty
is that
exciting out
something,
there.
an event that you've ever thought about going to, or have you been to before?
Our goal was to go last year, but it just didn't. It kind of fell through on us. But yeah, I would love to go to Adepticon. There's a few other events as well, for sure, out there that are worth seeing. And remember,
Yeah.
you don't always necessarily want to go to like something like Adepticon, which is specifically miniatures, because sometimes you go to other events and you get those little moments of miniatures mixed with everything else, right? So it's Adepticon is definitely the
It's
top of my
all
list
in.
for sure.
There you
Yeah,
go.
right. Like it's a big deal.
Yep. Now with the one thing I've noticed at Adepticon was the figures. A lot of like showcases where they're painted pristine. Is painting something that you enjoy doing, or is it kind of just a side effect of being part of that world?
Well, like I've been painting since like I was a teenager.
Oh, okay.
I've always loved of painting and creating your own color schemes and doing your own thing, especially with like army building games because there's so many.
Yeah.
Um, and painting is a very relaxing thing. They say it's good for you. For me, it's a little bit of a challenge with my hands, but I do paint my own miniatures. Yes.
Yeah, and that's again, that's one of the things between patience and plus I don't have the skill. Is just that tiny of painting. I can't even paint a big model, let alone a small. So hats off to that skill. Now, of course, again with skill of the 3D printing, the cosplay stuff you've done, you're wearing something, and if I know you well, it's probably 3D printed.
Yes. I can't spoil because we're still kind of talking about what we're doing next year
Okay.
for events, so I can't spoil any upcoming stuff. But I like a blend because see, I don't compete, right? So I don't compete in foam craft or textiles. I just like to go and sort of show off and be a part of that world. So typically I like doing helmets, but I don't do single piece helmets. I like to do kit build helmets. Just because having a 48-hour print and having it fail midway is so heartbreaking.
Ease
Um,
of printing and less waste and less chance of failure. Yeah, I agree.
yeah. And then as well as I have some props behind me and some fan art props as well. So I like to make my own stuff. So typically, like I'll do a year one of something. So my Red Hood's a year one. But yeah, the blend between everything is where I like the middle. Like I'm not a foam craft guy. I'm not a textile guy. I'm not a 3D print guy when it comes to it. I like the blend of them all.
Whatever
Yeah, for
makes
sure.
the best, final product.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because it's all about the look, right? And especially if you're not trying to compete, it's just the cleanness and the coolness of it all. Plus, anytime you can 3D print something, you can modify it, right? So it's like if someone gives you a pattern, you have to basically complete the full pattern and then work backwards. Whereas with a 3D print model, you can actually modify the model as you go.
Now, with going back to the cosplay stuff, of the cosplays you have done, what has been so far your favorite cosplay? Whether it be the work you put into the cosplay or just the character itself, kind of the one that tops all the other ones you've done so far.
I'll be honest. I love my Warhammer 40K Inquisitor. It's huge and it's heavy and it's so much foam and it's one of those things where it's like an original creator, original based off works from Games Workshop, but
Sure,
my
yeah.
own creation. But how many worlds do you get to wander around with something like this,
The giant
right?
chainsaw, yeah.
Yeah, right. Like this is the non-moving one. I forget the designer, but it's the non-moving one. But it's how many props, how many prop builds do you get to be big and huge and obnoxious, right?
Well, and they look cool. Between the props that they carry, the weapons they carry, and
Yeah.
just the overall design, like you said, it's massive. Some are bigger than others, but still just a giant. I mean, like you said, who doesn't want to dress up in a giant armor and walk around like they're they're big stuff?
Absolutely, and it's one of those things where that particular cosplay setup. Now there's so much 3D print available for it. There's actual costume parts for it, and then there's also two scales, right? There's normal human scale and then upscaled. So you'll see guys in stilts, guys and gals in stilts, and overbuilt costumes and things like that. I'm more of the classic fan. I'm not a huge fan of the new modern Primaris Marines. I like the classic look, but again, that because Warhammer, for example, has been around so long, you get that diversity. Same thing with DC, right? I do a year one of Red Hood, Jason Todd, but there's many, many, many versions of Red Hood because of so many artists, right?
And so yeah, like you said, I think it's especially number one, the OGs are always the best. So going there, but now when you're deciding on the cosplay you do, is it usually centered around what the con is itself, or do you just kind of go, hey, this is my next character, this is what I want to do?
Because it's such a huge time investment, you're not going to atypically like someone like me wouldn't make one for an event. Although I did my 40K build in about 30 hours. Um, but typically you just decide on a character you like from whatever lore exists out there, and then build that. So that's what works for me. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, we're going to move here to community questions in just a minute. So anybody in YouTube or Twitch world that has any questions for the Free Heathen, whether it be cosplay, tabletop, Tinkercad, etc., let us know in the chat, and we'll get to those questions as soon as I see them flowing in there. But now with going back to the Tinkercad thing, what when you went to go decide to start modeling, was it just you were searching for whatever, or did you hear about Tinkercad? What got you into Tinkercad?
I struggled with Blender, so
Um,
I from my career or whatever, I was very used to like physical objects and orientation, and then basically there was nothing, and then Tinkercad sort of became a thing, and then I got into Tinkercad and worked my way out of that. The reason why I like Tinkercad so much is because anyone can do it, right? Like I
Yep.
started, I think the first thing I ever designed was a piece a fidget or a gizmo or a gadget, whatever, to repair my refrigerator. That I just measured. I could visualize with my calipers. I could visualize in
What it
Tinkercad,
was.
and there,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and how long did that fix last the lifetime of the refrigerator whenever it decided to go, or do you still have the refrigerator maybe?
It's still working.
Oh,
Seven
even
years
better.
later, something like that. 7 or 8
7
years
years
later, yeah,
later, and it still has the
yeah, yeah.
original fixed part on it.
Yes, sir.
There you go. And that's what I love seeing, especially even more, more minds in it of what little things can fix things around the house and how well it can actually fix them. Sometimes there's been parts, little pieces that I found, usually somebody else's model, but that are better than the original. Like why didn't they design the original this way? Like this just works. Whether it be like a little tab for a shelf or whatever it might be. But yeah, it's interesting where, like I said, it's one thing when the engineer is at their desk working for Whirlpool and they're designing everything and it makes sense and it works, not knocking them at all. They're very bright people. But then just when you get enough different eyes on it, like what if we just did it this way, or we turned this and flipped this and made this shorter? It's always interesting to see how that works, just with the people designing stuff or coming up with fixes.
Yeah, I well, and like that's where you get into the open source sort of debates and stuff. But just the idea, like for me, that I found it really like. Remember, I started on Ender 3v1, so
Yep.
that's way back in the day. That's before direct drives became standardized,
The
all that stuff.
OG stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're not talking ABS rods, but
Yeah.
but the idea of just like saying to someone, yeah, but you can make it yourself. You can design something even if it's not perfect. You make it, try it, and then go on. I recommend to people try to get down to like 3 prototypes. So and with people enjoying Blender and now Womp and um, Fusion and on all those things, Tinkercad is free, right? And you are able to sell your design. So it's a neat way for everyone to get into it. Everyone's oh, I like Fusion, I like Blender, which is fine. But
Yep.
both
Each
those
their own.
programs have a huge starting like big leap, right, to get started. Yeah.
Yep, no, I've tried some of them. It's like that. No, there's way too many complications, and I've used
Yeah.
Tinkercad myself. I love 3D Builder in Windows. That's worked well for me. So, like you said, to each their own. Everybody's got their tools. If it works for you, great. But Tinkercad, I don't think it gets even nowadays. It doesn't get enough credit for what it is and what it can do, especially when you get creative with it.
Well, 3D Builder and Tinkercad are very similar, and I would like to see an offline version of Tinkercad for sure. There's a couple programs out there that are sort of moving that way, but Autodesk and them being the parent of Tinkercad and
Yeah.
Fusion, they have their systems. Yeah.
Yeah, no, offline. I agree with you. I'd love to see an offline. It would be very nice. But let's see. We did have a question. 3D and T printing says, explain the name. Where did Free Heathen come from? Really, I guess if we can do a double explanation of where the Free Heathen come from, along with Maker Millwright, maybe one leads to the other.
Free Heathen comes from a bunch of different places. It's just a cool name. Just I try to get people to be open-minded and free in their work and designs and free thinking whenever possible, right? So it's like,
Yep.
Just because something's already been done doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Just like if something hasn't been done doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So it's getting that whole system of knowing, just being open and not necessarily going with the grain all the time, right? Sometimes
Yep.
you just have to do something different.
Absolutely. And then now the Maker Millwright, the pseudo name. I don't know what you say. Where did that come from? I think that comes from your career previously, right?
Yeah. So I am a maker. So if you look
Fair.
if you look at where names come from, that's sort of the past of things, right? And that's where I got the reference from. So I am a maker, so I'm maker. And then millwright, I used to be an industrial red seal millwright or industrial mechanic. here in Canada. So that's probably where a lot of my history for design and stuff comes from. Is
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time inside machines, taking them apart, fixing them, and doing that on a very large scale. Yeah.
Now I don't know if it's and maybe just in Ohio here is millwright's not very common of what you hear. Is that something more in like a Canada thing? Like what exactly is a millwright, or what does a millwright do? Or is it
So
various?
I think there's about 50,000 millwrights in Canada of a population of I think
Just a couple.
38 million. So it's a very, very small trade. What it is, like a millwright industrial mechanic's the new fancy name for it because back in the 90s they got rid of all the old names. Shipwright might be another thing. Bridgewright might be another thing you've heard of,
Oh, okay.
but those names have sort of died off. So now we're industrial mechanics, but it doesn't matter. So a millwright is like a general purpose industrial mechanic. So like
Okay.
my trades. So because I'm a millwright, I delve into other trades. So I'm a manual machinist, general purpose mechanic, welder, and heavy duty mechanic all rolled into one. Oh, and forklift mechanic all rolled into one. Yeah.
Kind of anything in the mechanic part of things in industry.
Basically, if something's broken, I can basically fix it. We're used to doing a lot of build-up, so where my experience comes from is like a lot of contracting, and you start with like some engineer draws a picture. Well, a picture does not necessarily translate into the real world, and millwrights pick up the slack in there. Yeah, for sure. But that's where it comes from. Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate it. We got Sharon P. Barking Cauldron asks, well, this goes with the knitting thing. Have you printed a yarn bowl yet?
I have not printed a yarn bowl. There are quite a few amazing designers that have made some really beautiful ones. So it's going down the rabbit hole of, do I want to make my own, or is there just a beautiful one out there I can use?
Let's see here. And then Bearded Printer is a fun one. How do I become a heathen like you? That almost sounds bad when you say it with that, when you don't have the free in front of it, but how can he become a heathen? And do you have an answer for that?
Do your own thing.
There you go. Okay. Good
Cut
answer.
against the grain, work hard, and like just make what you need to make or make what you want to make, and then that way you can sort of that's where that nomenclature comes from. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, good answer. Let's see here. And what's it says here. 23 Blue Dude asks, what's better, store-bought boxes or Gridfinity?
Each has their value. Injection molded, blow molded is low cost, but very impersonal. Gridfinity and multi-board give you the ability to make your own thing. You can now, there's a bunch of platforms. Yeah, there's a bunch of platforms out there. Like Piled 3D, for example, will allow you to do a straight up render, so you don't have to do any of the engineering work behind it. But I don't know. It's always a hard sell to get me to make a box, for sure.
Depends on the situation, right?
Yeah, well, there's that whole IKEA thing where if you build it yourself, it has more value to you. So,
Yep.
and one of the cool things about 3D printing is, well, if you need a lightweight box, or like, for example, planters like I use, I make my desk planters out of PLA. So, well, I used to use the matte Polymaker PLA, and it's worked really well for me. But, in turn, do I necessarily need a custom planter or box every time? That leads back to your question of the custom figurine boxes. And I think they're very expensive to buy, but in turn they're very time consuming to make. So I think having your own, right? Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. And then I don't remember who asked it. I think who was it? Somebody asked, they have a Free Heathen walnut bow tie, but wanting to know of, and I lost my chat. It went too high up. Is they want to know, what does it take to get to an RGB level of bow tie?
So this design is available. This was my first international collab. I did it with Seller Nerd from YouTube, and together we designed this. And hopefully when we get the chance to meet in the real, we'll be doing a new one, and we'll be probably focusing on polysmooth for the opportunity with it because we can get it so clear.
There you
To
go.
do this one runs on an it runs on a microcontroller, a ESP32, and it's a USB powered. So this one particularly plugs in, and you can carry a battery pack with you for it.
Oh, so more complex than just throwing an LED strip inside of a bow tie.
If you want the lights to change and things like that, you can go more complicated, but
Well,
you
yours
can always
looks like
just
it has a nice glow though too, like it's diffused. It's not like the hot spotlights.
No, that's all the filament. It's a white bow tie, and it's backfilled. It's hollow and it's backfilled with the LEDs,
Awesome.
and it's got an ESP32 controller, which I forgot to turn on today, or it'll be purple.
No, bro. It's the real Mark U of you asks. You mentioned CNC in the opening. What kind of CNC work are you doing, and what machine are you using?
So I work with Snapmaker. I have a Snapmaker Artisan, so that's a 3-in-1 machine. So it has a dual extrusion head. I'm using a 200-watt milling head. So I've done everything from cutting boards to, I don't have a sample here. If you give me a second, I can get a sample. But to pen boxes. And the nice thing about having a 3-in-1 machine is you could say, for example, make the lid out of a 3D printable material, dual color, right? Dual extrusion. And then you can mill like a more solid object to retain the items. I've done some cutting boards. I've done some for more industrial applications. I've done some palm milling for soap bath bombs, things like that.
Okay,
So it's
that's
for
from
the
him.
yeah. And then I'm trying to set up my laser so I can do both metal and wood cutting. So those are a bunch of projects that are coming
More
too.
to
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Let's see here. CGS Creations asks, "What is your favorite industrial machine you have ever worked on or with?"
So I guess there's two. I really like car shredders. They're so scary and they're so big and they're so loud and they're so cool and they're so stinky. They're so cool. But probably the coolest machine that I've ever worked on that's out there is what's known as a Tetra Pak machine, and it's a cam operated machine, and it has a rhythm to it that's like a music. And I could sit there for days just listening to it operate. It's one of the
Does it have kind of the
coolest
same, like the
machines.
cam motion too, where it's kind of you get to see it in motion?
Well, no, cams are normally concealed because they're dangerous. But
You can crush
it'll have
things.
like a and the very small machine. Tetra Pak machines make juice boxes and milk cartons, but it
Okay.
has like it goes doot 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 right. It has a rhythm to
A
it
little
because of
music to it.
Yes, and it's if you love machines like I do, we used to always say when my lab had 5 printers in it, it sounded like a choir in here if you're used to listening to it, and it's very enjoyable. I like the sound of machines, yeah.
I think you need to find a clip of it, do a remix, and then just do a whole song. Make it just be your background music. See how long it takes people to realize, like, wait a second, is that the machine he was talking about?
Yeah, the pneumatic blow off with the cycle of the head clamps and the heater blocks and then the pneumatic blow offs. It's and remember, because it's an ongoing process, it's part of a manufacturing process. It's always consistent, right?
Constant. Yep.
Yeah.
Nope,
That's how you can tell
awesome.
if the machine's sick or not.
Oh yeah, because then the really like, wait a second, there's a skip somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, especially with all the moving parts and everything.
Yeah,
But I think that's it for the community. I usually like to end things off with some rapid fire questions. So you have to get your thinking cap on. The first 2 questions are always the same, pretty easy. We like to start off first is, what is your favorite filament color or surface effect or type, or call it all 3? I think I know the type, but
my absolute favorite material right now out of any manufacturer anywhere is Polymaker Polymax PLA Gray. That's like that's my go-to for everything. If I'm going to prototype, if I'm going to make something. But I've actually really fallen in love with Polymaker Starlight Galaxy, and it competes with other competitive brands and materials, and it just, that purple blue sparkle for such a large manufacturer to be able to produce something so beautiful is insane. I really love that color. Yeah.
And you never know how much more Starlights are coming, so
I just ran the Mars.
Yes,
for a bunch of stuff, and
Mars
that
was
was
great for Deadpool, which you wouldn't think it is. And when I did a Deadpool mask, it was like Okay, no, this is like the perfect color.
Starlight Galaxy is purple. It is a purple blue with a sparkle. Yeah.
There you go. Now,
I
second
just caught
question
that one in chat.
is, out of all the things that you've modeled and you've printed, what has been the one print that you're most proud of?
I don't know. I make a lot of stuff. Generally anything I make for someone else. I really I like I like to make something, like when I make something custom for someone else that really is cool. Yeah.
And then another question, now going back to the cosplay stuff, you've done a handful of cosplays. If you could choose any cosplay, you had no budget, and you had all the time in the world to do it, whether it be electronics, LEDs, printing, etc. What is the one cosplay that you would choose to do?
Either Batman or a full-size Space Marine. Yeah.
All right, there we go. Full size with stilts.
Yes, sir.
There you go. So maybe we can see that in the future. We'll have to see. Now
It's a really big project, just so you know. Like it's unbelievably large. Yes.
I've seen some big ones at Adepticon, but then I walked into the main area and they had it was a statue. It wasn't cosplay, and that thing was like, that thing's kind of big. It's just massive. It'd be awesome to see somebody in something that big. A little hard.
They're about
to walk
8 feet
in, but...
tall.
Okay,
they're about 8 feet tall. So
this statue was probably, because it was the company's statue, showing off their game. So it was, I'm sure, life size. But yeah, it was. Like I said, I'm not even into that game, but it was still like, oh nope. So I made sure to take a selfie with it and everything else. But
it's incredible.
So
it's incredible.
And last question I have is, anybody that's looking to be entertained by someone that does a lot of skills, but maybe minifigs, uses Tinkercad, can provide help and support with that if they're on their own journey of making small things, big things, whatever that might be. Is there anybody specifically, maybe that's on this show currently, that you could recommend checking out their stream?
No, I can't think of.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well,
I don't
nice
know.
night. Thanks for coming. So where can people find you? Of course, we have the link tree that's shown on the screen right now. But where are you active if they're wanting to come check you out, if they've never heard from you or heard of you before and want to see you for the first time? Where can they find you?
I'm Maker Millwright of the Free Heathen Workshop. We stream between 3 and 5 days a week, sometimes more, on Twitch. I'm active across all social medias, particularly Twitter, because we try to make the best of bad situations, always bring people in. You can come find me. It's casual Saturdays. If you ever have a problem with your Tinkercad, Fusion, Blender, I can show you how I would do it in Tinkercad. Glad to help anyone and everyone who needs a hand. And we're always trying to build people up and get through that frustration of design, right? Get it out of your brain, get it into the real.
There you go. And then real quick too, of course, they can watch you on Twitch. If they're wanting to check out some of your models, maybe print some for themselves, where can they find most of your models?
My large inventory is on Thangs at the Free Heathen on Thangs. And maybe it's the Free Heathen Workshop. I can't remember. It's one of the but I'm across all.
The board. If you search the Free Heathen, it's you'll find them.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I greatly appreciate you coming on the show. It's always nice to learn a little bit more about the people that I know some about, but not a lot about. And it's been a great time. I hope you've had a fun time also. And maybe we'll see each other at an event soon. Maybe Adepticon next year. We'll see what the cards have in store for us.
It was a joy to talk to you again. Always a pleasure. It's nice to see you at work. When we're not on the floor chatting and being busy. But as always, Nikor, it's just a joy to have you, man. Thank you for all the support and the love, and thank you for what you do for our community. And shout out to Polymaker. Also, a little shout out to Polymaker Nick.
Yep, he's out there somewhere in the space. But no, appreciate you for the support of the brand and just supporting communities and being helpful to others and trying to learn stuff. So no, hats off to you. Appreciate it, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, pleasure was all mine. Thank you, sir.
Have a good night, man.
All right, bye now.
And there you guys have it. I need to think of something else because it's always in my head that I want to say, and there you guys have it. It's redundant, but there you guys go. It's over. But that is just another maker, again, that is part of a community, is a very helpful guy, nice guy, uses Tinkercad way better than I'll ever use it. And that's a skill. Like I said, Tinkercad is a really great tool, but to use it in more sophisticated ways is a whole nother skill on top of just throwing some shapes together. So hats off to the Free Heathen on what he has done and what he is doing, and can't wait to see what he does in the future. So go show your support over on Twitch, over on Things and on socials. And yeah, like I said, he's a good guy. Go give him a follow, and you'll see him hanging around Twitch often. But with that said, real quick, we have a go away. We have a go away now. We have a giveaway. That's a giveaway, not a go away, of Polymaker filament. If you guys want to enter it real quick, type in I am awesome in the chat while I go on about some projects that we're doing within Polymaker with others outside of Polymaker. And that is, first up, Polymaker figurines, exclamation point PMF in the chat. That's going to get you the link, and that is Antoine Dimensions doing new models every few days, to where when he releases a video of the model and showcases it in all its multicolored glory, those models become available to download for free on Maker World. So he is on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the socials. So go give them a follow. Lots of cool things. Already the first 2 generations of Pokemon are available to print, to download, everything that you want to do, single color, multicolor, however you please. So go give him a follow. And also we have Polymaker Education, exclamation point PME in chat. And that is going to give you the links to Polymaker Education, where Creatrix Brit posts and does the same setup, to where it is videos that are releasing models or showcasing models for educational use or any use that you please. But you have an educational background to them. And those models then become available as they're presented on the video. So you can download them, print them yourself, print them for others, however you see fit. And we also have Polymaker Sean. He is running the Polymaker Labs, and that is on TikTok. And that is where he's giving tips, tricks, troubleshooting as the Polymaker scientist, and fun little short bits to, memorize, to rewatch, to share with others if they're having problems, or you just want to be proactive and watch all of them, grind, watch them back to back, memorize them all. That way, if you ever have a problem, you're going to be your own Wikipedia. You don't have to go to wiki.polymaker.com unless you want to. That's also another creation thanks to Polymaker Sean. So hats off to him for that. And then last but not least, we have In Printing Color, exclamation point IPC, and that is going to be hosted by Pezliz over at twitch.tv/Pezliz every Wednesday. And that is presenting new colors or going over old colors for different application. I don't want to say application uses, but uses of colors and different designs of how to mix and match colors. But we do have a lot of stuff coming. She's gonna have a lot of episodes to cover. so go follow her now, and then you're gonna be seeing a lot of the colors come out through her channel as they do come out, and she'll present them in awesome ways and awesome prints, while she's also helping develop our designer portfolio for Polymaker for items or models that we can use to showcase said material on our website through advertising, etc. As she is also doing Pezliz Presents, which is hosted by Polymaker. Sponsored by Polymaker, hosted by Pezliz, and that's on the same twitch.tv/Pezliz. And that's typically Saturday, sometimes a Sunday, depending on the scheduling. And that's where she either will interview a new designer that is on board with helping build our portfolio, or just talking about other designers that she has been talking with and working with to, again, build that portfolio. So we have awesome models to present awesome material throughout the time and space and all that stuff. So I don't know where there was a different saying I was going for, but I messed it up. So you're welcome. But yeah, make sure to go all give them a follow, give them some support. All awesome people, all awesome projects, and we still have more in store coming. So stay tuned. And this segment will be 30 minutes on its own. We are going to move over to the giveaway. There it is. And why you guys enter one last time, if you're not sure you've done it. Whoops, what'd I just do? I don't know. There we go. It's going to black out for a second. I'm going to drag this down. Get that in there. We're going to do a giveaway. And YouTube won on the last stream. So let's see. Is it going to be you? What's your guys' guess? If you already done I am awesome in the chat, YouTube or Twitch, what's your guess on who's going to win? If you already entered YouTube or Twitch, who's going to win the giveaway today? I'd like to know what you guys think. And then if you guess correctly, you win 3.7 internet points, which are redeemable at a website somewhere. It's a secret. if you find it, you'll know that you can redeem your points there. Just saying. But let's see what we got here. Come on. We got the bring on those 3.7 points. We got I am winning Twitch because YouTube is a terrible. Wait, why'd you link YouTube for? Is Twitch not working? Don't tell me Twitch is not working. Not sure why it was shared, but hey, welcome on and get those in because we're going to do a drawing. I'm just going to find somebody to raid out to. Keep on, keep it on. Roll down. I'm still here. I'm still looking. Give me just a minute. Oh, hey, there we go. Oh, I see. Oh, I got to switch over to Twitch. 1 second. Looks like I don't know if she just went live, but we're gonna raid over to our friend CyberJules, who was just on the show a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, not sure. But we're gonna show her love. She's actually prepping for TwitchCon, doing a PCB design. She does a lot of cool printed PCBs, and by the looks of the parts on her table, maybe the hammer that she presented for 3D Printopia, which was awesome to see in person. But we're gonna do the drawing real quick here. We're at 120 entries, so I'm gonna count to 5, which is gonna be actually before. Yeah. Anyway, it's gonna be delayed. We're gonna do a drawing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And again, make sure whether you win or not, go show some love over to CyberJules. Tell her Polymaker says hello. Hope she's having a great day, making awesome creations, as that's what she does. People are gonna say it's rigged. Thanks a lot, layer by layer. You've now just blessed my inbox with rigged messages. I know the guy. I don't even, I do like the guy, but I didn't rig it. It's what the machine does. I'm sorry to say, but you know how to contact me. Reach out to me. I'll get you your free spool of Polymaker filament. And until then, we'll see you guys here next week on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Maybe 8 p.m. I'll let you know. I got to see what the schedule is, but appreciate you guys' support as always. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Have a good week. And we'll catch you on the next one.